The academy was full of voices, laughter, and energy. But for one girl, it felt like silence. She walked through the wide halls with her head lowered, trying not to meet the eyes of those around her. Every step she took was followed by whispers. Every breath she released was answered with mocking laughs. She was different, and everyone knew it. Her scent was the reason to her people. Smell was everything. It was how they judged health, strength, and beauty. Her scent was sharp, unusual, heavy in the air. The others called it strange. Some called it sickening. Many covered their noses when she walked past. She had tried everything to hide it. Oils, perfumes, even fasting to weaken her body. But nothing worked. The smell always came back, strong and unyielding, in the cafeteria. Long tables were full of students from many worlds. Some had scales, others had wings. Some shone like crystals. They laughed and shared food. But at the corner table sat the alien girl, alone, her plate untouched. Whenever she tried to sit near others, they moved away, sometimes loudly, sometimes with cruel jokes. Her chest tightened with every laugh. She wanted to disappear. She wanted to scream, but she only kept her head low, pretending she didn't care, pretending it didn't hurt. She remembered the first day she entered the academy. Full of hope, her family had told her this was her chance. She was smart, quick to learn. Maybe this place would give her a future. But from the first step, she knew it would not be easy. The moment she walked into the hall, eyes turned, whispers started, and by nightfall, she was already the outcast. Sometimes she asked herself why she was born like this, why her scent was different. Her parents had no answers. They told her it was just fate, that she must be strong. But how long could anyone be strong when every day felt like a war? She looked at her hands, clenched into fists under the table. The skin trembling, she promised herself not to cry. Not here, not in front of them. Tears would only give them more reasons to laugh. When class began, she sat at the far edge of the room, her desk almost touching the wall. The teacher spoke about history, about wars fought long ago, but she couldn't focus. Her mind was heavy. Her heart beat slowly. Around her, students leaned close to one another, whispering and pointing. She didn't have to hear the words. She knew them already. Strange, cursed, unwanted. But there was something deeper behind their fear. Even if they didn't admit it, their eyes sometimes showed it. Fear, not just disgust, when she passed. They leaned back a little too far, as if her very presence was dangerous. She didn't understand it fully, but she felt it. There was more to her scent than anyone told her. Something hidden, something heavy, that night, as she sat by her small dorm window, looking at the twin moons above the academy. She hugged her knees to her chest. The night was cold, her room quiet, and still the whispers seemed to echo in her ears. She told herself she would endure. She had endured every day before this one, but in the dark corner of her mind, a question grew. How long before she broke? How long before her strange scent destroyed her? In the distance, a ship arrived at the academy port, engines glowing against the night. She didn't notice it yet, but tomorrow that ship would change everything. Tomorrow, someone would arrive who would not turn away, someone who would not cover his nose, someone who would breathe her strange scent and call it something else. Home. The next morning, the academy was louder than usual. Students rushed through the halls whispering about the new arrival. Some claimed he was taller than any alien. Others said his species was too fragile to survive even 1 week here. The alien girl listened from her corner. Head still lowered, she expected nothing. New faces came and went. None ever noticed her except to mock. But when the gates opened, silence spread like a wave. The human stepped inside, his steps steady, his shoulders straight, his eyes scanning the vast hall. Unlike others, he carried no armor, no glowing devices, only simple clothes and a calm expression. Yet his presence pulled every gaze. Some watched with curiosity, others with dislike. The girl kept her eyes down, waiting for the moment he too would wrinkle his nose. The human walked past her table, close enough to feel his shadow. She held her breath, praying he would not pause. But he did. He slowed, lifted his head, and inhaled deeply. The sound clear in the silence. For a second she thought he would laugh like the others. But instead, his lips curved into the smallest smile. And in a low voice, he whispered, "It smells like home." The hall erupted with gasps, voices overlapping in shock. Some shouted that he was mad. Others demanded to know what he meant. The girl froze, her chest tight, her mind spinning. She had never heard such words before. Home. He had called her cursed scent home. She dared to lift her eyes just for a moment and saw his gaze. Steady, warm, unafraid, he moved on without explanation, taking a seat near the center of the hall, ignoring the noise. The others watched him with suspicion, their whispers sharper now. Why had he said that? What strange link did he have to her scent? The girl sat trembling, unsure if this was kindness or something more dangerous. In the classroom, the human chose a desk near her. Though many other seats were empty, she felt the weight of stares burning into her back. Some students muttered warnings to him, telling him to move before the stink clung to him too, but he ignored them. His pen tapped against the desk, as if he were waiting for something. Finally, he turned his head slightly and said, "They're wrong, you know." His voice was quiet. "Steady." The girl's throat tightened. She whispered back without looking, "Stay away. They'll hate you too." But he shook his head. "They already do, doesn't matter. I've seen worse." Her heart raced. No one had ever spoken to her like this. No one had dared to sit so close. She wanted to believe him, but fear twisted her stomach. She knew what the academy could do to those who defied the crowd. She had lived it every day. She wondered if he was foolish or brave, or maybe both. During training drills, the students were divided into groups. No one wanted her, as always. But before the teacher could assign her alone, the human stepped forward. "She's with me," he said, his tone firm. A ripple of whispers filled the room. The teacher raised an eyebrow but allowed it. The drills began, and for the first time, she was not standing apart as they trained. She caught glimpses of his focus. His movements precise, efficient, yet never cruel. He carried himself as if he belonged anywhere, and yet he had chosen to stand beside her. Each time their hands brushed while passing equipment, she felt her chest tighten, not with shame, but with something unfamiliar, something close to hope. That night, when she returned to her dorm, her mind replayed his words again and again. "It smells like home." What did it mean? Why would a human, a stranger, call her curse a comfort? She pressed her forehead against the cold window glass, staring at the stars. Questions burned in her heart, but beneath them, a small flame had begun to glow. For the first time since she came to the academy, she did not feel completely alone. And yet, deep inside, a shadow of fear lingered. If he saw her as home, what did that make him? And what storm would follow them both? The days after the human's arrival felt different. The academy still whispered, still mocked, but now their whispers carried a new name alongside hers. His. Wherever he walked, eyes followed. Some filled with curiosity, others with hostility, yet he never looked shaken. He sat beside her in class, walked with her in the halls, and once even shared his food at the cafeteria table where no one else dared sit. At first she tried to stop him. She warned him again and again, her voice low and trembling. "You don't understand. They will turn on you. You'll be hated like me." But each time he only gave a calm smile. "I've lived with worse than hate. It doesn't scare me." His words unsettled her. What kind of world did he come from, where hatred was familiar? Slowly, she began to open the walls she had built around her heart. In stolen moments between classes, she spoke of her scent, the burden she carried. She told him how from childhood she had been avoided. No friend, no hand to hold, no one brave enough to stand beside her. She whispered how her own family feared for her, though they loved her, because her scent carried something rare and dangerous, something most of her people wished forgotten. The human listened with an intensity she had never seen before. He didn't laugh, didn't pity her. Instead, he leaned closer and asked, "What exactly is it? This scent they fear?" Her throat tightened. Part of her wanted to stay silent, but something about his steady eyes made her speak. "Long ago, before the wars ended, my kind used scent as more than survival. It was a weapon, a signal, a force. Some called it the breath of fire. It could awaken instincts, drive armies, or break them. I carry that blood. I carry that smell." For a long moment he said nothing. His gaze turned thoughtful, almost haunted. Then he whispered, "On Earth, there are old stories too. Hunters followed strange smells in the wild. Warriors painted themselves with herbs to terrify enemies. Tribes carried smoke and fire so strong it stayed in the air for days. Maybe your scent is not a curse. Maybe it's memory, survival." Her chest ached. No one had ever spoken of her scent with such meaning. She wanted to believe him, but fear still pulled at her heart. "If that is true, why do they hate me?" she asked. His voice was quiet but certain. "Because they fear what they do not understand." But fear and power are often the same thing. The bond between them grew, fragile but undeniable, and with it grew the danger. Other students noticed how close they had become. Sneers turned to open threats. Once during combat practice, a scaled alien tried to strike her harder than the rules allowed. But before she could react, the human was already there. Blocking the blow with his arm, the room went silent as the human glared, his voice sharp. "Try that again and you'll face me." That night, she sat awake in her dorm, replaying the scene. No one had ever defended her. No one had ever chosen her side. The walls she had built to protect her heart began to crack. And in the cracks grew something she didn't understand. Something fragile, maybe hope, maybe trust. But shadows were moving. Whispers had spread beyond the students. Teachers spoke in hushed tones. Visitors came to the academy with eyes too sharp. And in every glance she felt the same thing. They weren't only mocking her anymore, they were watching, measuring, waiting. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, her mind racing. Her scent was no longer just her burden. It had become a question the galaxy wanted answered. And now, with the human beside her, that answer might be closer than ever. She feared what it would bring. But deep in her chest, she also felt the first flicker of strength. Because for the first time in her life, she wasn't carrying it alone. Rumors had always followed her, but now they carried weight. Whispers of her scent no longer stayed in the classrooms or the cafeteria. They spread into the higher halls of the academy, into the ears of teachers, into the mouths of visitors who came cloaked in long robes and sharp eyes. The alien girl could feel it. Every step she took was watched more closely. Every breath she released measured like a threat. The human noticed it too. He didn't show fear, but his gaze sharpened whenever strangers lingered too long. When they walked past officers in silver uniforms, he would shift slightly, always keeping himself between her and them. She asked him once why he did this, and he answered with simple words. "Shields belong in front, not behind." She didn't know whether to laugh or cry at that. One afternoon, in a forgotten wing of the academy library, the human pushed a dusty tablet across the table toward her. He had been researching in silence for hours, his eyes bright under the dim light. "Read this," he said. She looked down at the old record, the language heavy, the words hard, but the meaning clear. It told of her people's past. Long before the academy, long before the peace treaties, it spoke of a group known as the Fragrant Line, warriors whose scent could stir armies to madness, heal the weak, or poison the strong. Her blood ran cold. This is my family," she whispered. The human leaned closer, lowering his voice. "That's why they fear you. It's not just smell, it's legacy. And legacies scare those who build empires on fragile walls." Her hands shook. She pushed the tablet away. "If this is true, then I am dangerous. Maybe they're right to shun me." He grabbed her wrist gently, his eyes unyielding. "Or maybe you are the one thing they can't control." The weight of those words stayed with her. That night she couldn't sleep every time she closed her eyes. She saw faces from her childhood, her mother whispering apologies, her father standing at a distance, neighbors pulling their children away. Had they known the truth all along? Had they known what her scent meant? Days turned darker. Strangers in armored suits began patrolling the academy. Official letters hung on walls, warning of biological anomalies. Students avoided her even more. But their fear was no longer casual mockery. It was sharp, real. Some even fled when she entered a room. Her chest ached, but beside her, the human never wavered. During a training simulation, the instructors tested stress responses, forcing students into artificial combat. When it was her turn, she felt her body tremble. Her scent thickened in the air without her control. The other students staggered back. Clutching their heads, some even dropped their weapons. The instructors shouted to cut the test. Alarms blared. Her knees gave out. But strong hands caught her before she hit the ground. When she opened her eyes, the human was holding her, his jaw tight. "You see, they fear what they don't understand. But I see something else," his voice lowered, almost reverent. "I see power. And power can protect too," she wanted to believe him. But her heart pounded with fear. If her scent could weaken others, what if it destroyed him one day? What if he too fell because of her? Later that evening, they walked by the academy gates and saw a group of officials speaking to the headmaster, their voices sharp, urgent, though the words were muffled. One line broke through the wind. "Remove her before the council intervenes." The girl froze. Her blood turned to ice. She turned to the human, her lips shaking. "They're going to erase me." His hand rested firmly on her shoulder, his voice steady like iron. "Not while I'm here." And for the first time, when she breathed in her own scent, she didn't only feel the curse, she felt something else. Faint but real, she felt strength. The academy no longer felt like a place of learning. It felt like a cage. The alien girl noticed the changes first. Locked doors where none had been before, guards in the hallways, teachers speaking in coded words. The air was heavy, not just with her scent, but with tension, as if the whole building was waiting for something to happen. One night, she and the human stayed behind after class. Their footsteps echoing in the empty corridor, they turned a corner and froze. Two instructors stood near a sealed office door, whispering in low, urgent tones. The girl pressed her back to the wall, her heart pounding. The human leaned close so quietly that his breath brushed her ear. "Listen," the voices leaked through the door. "The council is losing patience. They want her removed before the scent matures." Another voice replied. "If the humans find out, there will be trouble. Better to act before the next inspection." Her stomach twisted. She understood now. They weren't just afraid of her. They were planning something far worse. The human's jaw tightened, his eyes dark. He pulled her away before they were seen. When they reached the shadows of the courtyard, she whispered, "Removed. What do they mean?" He looked at her and didn't lie. "It means erased. They want to make sure you never leave this place alive." Her legs went weak. The world spun, but he caught her before she fell. "Breathe," he said firmly. "You're not alone in this." Not anymore. That night in her dorm, she could not sleep. The words repeated again and again, erased, removed. Her scent no longer felt like part of her. It felt like a target painted on her back. Yet in the dark corner of her mind, another thought flickered. If they feared her this much, maybe her scent truly was more powerful than even she believed. The next day, whispers spread faster than fire. Students avoided her completely now. Teachers refused to call on her. Even the cafeteria workers served her food from a distance. But one thing never changed: the human at her side. When others stared, he stared back harder. When others whispered, he walked louder. Every step he took was a shield she never had before. Later, he led her into a storage chamber beneath the academy, a place so quiet even the guards did not come. He held up a data crystal glowing faintly blue. "I stole this from the office," he admitted. She gasped. "What if they catch you?" He only smirked. "They already hate me. What more can they do?" Then he pressed the crystal into the console. The room filled with holograms, reports, and sealed documents. Her breath caught as words floated around them. Subject, carrier of the fragrant line. Potential destabilizer, immediate removal recommended. Her eyes burned. "They've been watching me since the beginning." Her voice broke. He turned to her, his face set like stone. "They never planned to give you a future here. They brought you to contain you, not to teach you." The holograms shifted, showing grainy images of war, soldiers fleeing, armies breaking apart under invisible pressure. Words burned into her mind. Scent manipulation, classified as a weapon. Her hands shook. She whispered, "This is why they hate me." He stepped closer, his voice low. "No, this is why they fear you." "There's a difference." She looked at him, her eyes filled with tears. "What am I supposed to do?" He met her gaze without flinching. "Survive, fight, and if they try to erase you, we make sure the galaxy hears your scent before they silence it." For a long moment, silence filled the chamber, broken only by the hum of the holograms. Then the girl nodded slowly, the fear inside her still strong. But now it burned with something else, something sharper, the beginning of defiance. The storm began without warning. The academy's skies lit with the glow of descending ships, silver hulls cutting through the clouds, their engines humming like thunder. Students rushed to windows in fear, some whispering prayers, others recording the sight with trembling hands. The alien girl stood frozen, her heart hammering. She knew they had come for her. The human grabbed her arm and pulled her away from the glass. "Don't stand where they can see you." His voice was low, steady, but his eyes were sharp with urgency. Alarms echoed through the halls, red lights flashing against the walls. The academy's calm order shattered into chaos. Soldiers marched through the gates, their armor black and faceless, their boots striking the ground in perfect rhythm. At their head walked a tall figure in silver robes, a council envoy, his voice carried over the crowd. "We are here for the anomaly. Surrender her and no blood will be spilled." The students turned to each other in confusion, their eyes darting toward her. Some stepped away, afraid, some pointed, and the whispers became shouts. She wanted to run, but her legs would not move. Fear gripped her like chains. Then she felt the human's hand squeeze hers. "Firm and grounding," he whispered. "They won't take you." And for a moment, she believed him. The soldiers spread through the halls, scanning faces, every door forced open, every corner searched. The headmaster shouted orders, trying to calm the chaos, but it was useless. The academy had become a hunting ground. The girl and the human moved through the shadows, slipping past patrols, each step a gamble, each turn a heartbeat away from capture. In the training hall, a group of students cornered them, their faces pale, their eyes wide with fear. "Give her up," one stammered. "If they find her with us, they'll punish everyone." The girl's throat tightened. She wanted to scream that she had never asked for this, never wanted to be born this way, but before she could speak, the human stepped forward, his voice like steel. "You won't touch her." The students hesitated, fear of him almost stronger than fear of her. They escaped deeper into the academy, the walls shaking with the sound of landing craft, the ground trembling as more troops arrived. Then, in a sudden clash of light and sound, a blast tore through a hallway behind them. The shockwave knocked her down. The air filled with smoke. She coughed, her eyes burning. The human pulled her up again, his arm strong around her shoulders. "Move!" he urged, through the haze. She felt her scent stir, thick and heavy. Spreading faster than ever, the soldiers who rushed into the smoke staggered, clutching their helmets, their steps faltering. Some dropped their weapons. Their voices distorted with panic. She gasped, "It's me!" "I can't stop it." But the human held her steady. "Then don't. Let them fear what they chose to hunt." For the first time, she saw her curse turn into a weapon before her eyes. The soldiers retreating, their formation broken. The envoy shouting commands that no one obeyed. Her chest ached, her body shaking. But the human's hand never let go. They reached the central hall, where the envoy now stood waiting, his silver robes glowing under the emergency lights, his voice calm, dangerous. "Do you think you can hide forever, child? Your scent will burn worlds if left unchecked. You are not a gift, you are a weapon." Her knees trembled, but the human stepped between them, his voice ringing clear. "No, she is more than what you fear. And she's not yours to erase." The envoy's eyes narrowed, soldiers raised their weapons. The academy held its breath. The storm had come, and there would be no turning back. The central hall was silent, except for the low hum of weapons charging. Soldiers stood in perfect lines, their black armor reflecting the red lights of the alarm. At the center, the envoy raised a silver staff, his eyes fixed on the alien girl as if she was nothing more than prey. "Surrender," he commanded. "Your existence is a danger to every world. Your scent is a poison that must be destroyed." Her legs trembled. Her chest felt heavy. For a moment she almost believed him, almost believed she was nothing but a curse. Then she felt the human step closer, his hand tightening around hers, steady, unshaken. His voice cut through the silence. "No, her scent is not poison. It is life. It is memory. It is home." Gasps rippled through the hall. The envoy's expression hardened. "You dare claim this abomination as yours?" The human did not flinch. "She is not an abomination. She is the proof that strength is not in weapons, but in survival. She has survived what none of you could endure. And that is why you fear her." The soldiers advanced. The envoy lifted his staff, and in that moment, something inside the girl broke free. The air thickened, glowing faintly. Her scent poured out, no longer hidden, no longer restrained. It rolled like invisible fire across the hall. The first line of soldiers staggered. Their formation shattered. Some fell to their knees. Others tore off their helmets, gasping for air. The envoy shouted for control, but his voice was drowned by the rising panic. The girl's body shook. She felt like she was burning from the inside. "I can't stop it," she whispered. Her eyes wide with fear, the human pulled her close, his forehead touching hers, his words fierce but soft. "Don't stop it. This is who you are, and I am not afraid." The glow around her grew brighter, the scent sharper, but with his hand holding hers, it changed. It no longer felt like poison. It felt like strength. It spread not in chaos but in rhythm, a steady pulse that filled the hall. The soldiers dropped their weapons, their eyes wide with dread. The envoy stumbled back, his staff flickering. The students who had once mocked her stood frozen, their fear mixed with awe. For the first time they saw her not as cursed, but as something greater. The girl's tears streamed down her face, but her voice was steady when she spoke. "You cannot erase me. I was never a mistake. I was never a curse. I am alive, and I will not hide again." The envoy tried one last time, raising his staff high, but the human stepped forward, his voice ringing like a blade. "She is not alone anymore." The scent surged with his words. Blasting through the hall like a storm, the envoy's staff shattered in his hands. The soldiers fled, stumbling through the gates, their order broken, their fear stronger than their training. When the last echo of boots faded, silence fell heavy. The girl collapsed to her knees. Shaking, the human caught her, holding her tightly. "It's over," he whispered. Her voice broke. "But now they'll never stop hunting me." He shook his head, his eyes fierce. "Then let them try, because now they know what you are, and they know you are not alone." She buried her face against his chest, the scent still lingering in the air, not heavy, not burning, but warm, almost like the glow of a hearth after a storm for the first time. She believed the word he had spoken the first day they met, home.